Welcome to the Rad Dad Redemption Podcast. Here's your hosts, Drew and Dex.
Welcome back to the lab.
No, I'm keeping it rolling. Fuck Netflix. What are they putting out these days? They've had some hot garbage messes. We're not going to do the Jake Paul fight. Did you watch the football games on Christmas?
I did.
And?
They were fine.
Yeah, the feed was good?
Yeah. And I was a little worried because I actually watched it on my 4K TV, whereas the Jake Paul fight I watched on my 1080p TV. So I was like...
On your TD?
On my 1080p TV.
That is a tough one.
There's too many letters.
That's a tough one.
And so I was worried that the buffering was going to be even worse because I was like, I'm now trying to stream 4K instead of shitty 1080p.
And it worked out. It was great.
It was great. So I'm thinking something happened. Either they learned from the Jake Paul fight and they were like, we're buying way more servers, or they've got NFL money coming in with it where they're like...
Yeah, higher stakes. Like, don't fuck this up.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine you fuck up 2 primetime NFL games on Christmas Day? You're never broadcasting another NFL game ever again.
And so to catch everyone up, happy fucking New Year, you fucking fucks.
Yeah.
Merry
2025.
Merry 2025. Happy 2025. We were bashing Netflix and we couldn't actually go hot mic because we were using some choice language, not our own design, but in reference
I was
to
quoting.
We're quoting the, what was it called?
It's like the roast of 2024. They've got some. It's like they got some title for it, but it's basically a roast special about 2024.
And here's why it's relevant, listeners, because I know you're probably thinking like, "Wow, here's just another takeoff into the fucking consciousness of Drew and Tex, and this is not going to go anywhere." But we were very specifically saying how shit that review of 2024 was.
Yeah,
and how it's actually like a non-recommend. You actually said, like we were saying, like, how bad is it? Should I watch it? And you said, in good conscience, I cannot recommend this. Don't spend your time viewing it.
I think I said the only reason why you should watch it is because there's like a very small sprinkling of good jokes, and it's a short special. Like I said, when I got to the end of it, it was only like a half hour, 40 minutes or something like that. So it feels like it's over really fast, which is kind of nice because it was like not very funny. Like, Jeff Ross comes out, he does okay. They bring out a couple comedians, they do fine. And then it just kind of like keeps going downhill. It's almost like they started hot. The opposite of how a comedy show should be, where you start with like the openers and it gets better and better. It like started good and then got worse and worse.
And that's the compulsion. That's the fuck Netflix aspect of it. Like, they're just kind of putting stuff out. You know, the live event. The other one we watched was the roast of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And that was another one that kind of just like, oh, that guy should have maybe wrote something down.
And I think maybe they learned from that because that one dragged on. That was a 2-night watch for me.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a 2.5 hour thing.
Head office came down like, we can't have this.
They're like, we can't have a 2.5 hour fuck it. Like, they probably looked at the metrics. They're like, 40% of viewers actually made it past an hour and 15. We can't do that. So maybe they learned something.
The good news is you don't have to watch anything
to
review 2024. Because we got you fucking covered, all right?
We're here.
Put on your sexiest pair of underwear, grab your biggest bag of Cheetos, and get ready for us to break down the most important events of the entire year to get you ready for 2025, which will most likely be the next worst year in existence.
If you thought 24 was bad, hold on to your butts.
It's been a steady decline since about 2020. We had a rebound.
I want to go back to I want to even say 2014.
Honestly, like 2005. You know, junior high was rough.
I actually just want to say, since I was born, it's been pretty downhill.
Yeah, I peaked in the 3rd grade.
Nothing good's been happening.
No, we're gonna keep it optimistic. 2025 is gonna be excellent. Did you write down a couple predictions for 2025?
That's actually all I did.
We have an interesting list. Because all I did was write down stories to review from 2024.
Okay.
So we've got a yin and yang. We've accomplished something by accident.
This is huge.
This is huge. This is fortuitous. So we can break it into A, B here. We can start with what I identified as being the most interesting headlines of 2024. and get your perspective, break some of that down, and then transition into your predictions. And then we can hear my beautiful, sweet, angelic voice and how I feel about that.
Okay.
That's good. That's great.
Yeah.
Look at us. Listen to us. We're getting into the fucking meat of the episode.
And we're starting the new year off on the right foot.
We are. We will talk about that. I feel like the summation is like how we have felt about this year, our ups and downs, and where we're kind of going. And to rip the Band-Aid off and just tell you the truth, that will actually be a candid conversation. That is unplanned. So we got plan A, we got plan B,
and then the unplanned.
Which
you usually use plan B for.
Correctamundo.
Yeah.
So let's hop into it. So we'll start with 2024.
The year that was.
The year that was.
The year of our Lord.
Yeah?
I feel like they say that about every year.
Was it like the year of the rat? What was it? Do you know what was the animal?
I think it was the year of the dragon.
Oh, that's fucking awesome. Okay. Score 1 for 24.
Yeah.
That's a good year.
Yeah. What's 25? Somebody told me this and I immediately exiled that from my brain.
Cool. What's for dinner? You're going to Hawaii. You're on Oahu time.
Oh yeah, my brain's not here at all.
No, let's smash this. It's going to be great. Okay, 2024, major events. Starting out with a total stinker wet fart. Remember the total solar eclipse in North America?
Yeah. I do.
That was pretty crazy. No, I actually, okay, I'll jump in on
But remember,
this.
like, we couldn't really see it from like our location.
So it wasn't total for us. It was total.
It was like the Midwest states.
Yeah, there was a number of states that it was total. And some big storylines from that was that people were told explicitly over and over and over and over again not to look at it directly. And then people did and lost their eyesight or like major
damage. Yeah.
Major damage and they can't see anymore. And that's a big LOL. And then the other thing that I thought was interesting is that it's not like a fucking... Like it is an interesting thing, and I'm sure it was really cool. There was some cool imagery that came from it, lots of discussion, an opportunity to kind of explore, our solar system. Maybe got people into science, but it's also just science. It's also just math. It's like when you look at the clock and you're like, oh my God, it's 333. Like that's magical.
Like that happens twice a day.
Yeah, make a wish. It's just as rare as 334. Like it's actually not a fucking thing. You can look at a map and see the total solar eclipses all over the planet all the fucking time.
Isn't one of the next big ones coming directly over? Like one of the best places to see it is going to be Edmonton.
I think so. I think we're next in line.
Yeah.
I think the sun god has bequeathed.
Ra
is nice one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I only know that because there's a Detroit Lions player. They were just playing tonight, and his name is Amon-Ra.
Oh, we'll talk football. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so total solar eclipse. We're going to give that fucking a big fart sound effect. Okay, moving on. 2024. Trump assassination attempt.
Which one? There was two.
The first one, the earbuzz. Play that Trump assassination attempt jingle.
Bang! Ah! Oh!
Wow!
That was actually pretty crazy. And
divine intervention.
The weekend that happened was during Stampede. And a lot of people obviously come to Calgary from around the world, but specifically from, Canada and the US and to a lesser degree Mexico, for like the rodeo.
Why is Mexico lesser?
Well, not as many people come. Don't try and get me canceled on January 1st.
Yeah, people from Canada, America, fucking Mexicans.
No.
No, okay, sorry. That was unfair. That was bullshit.
So I went golfing like literally the day after it happened or 2 days after it happened, solo. And I got paired with 3 guys from Texas. And like you can imagine 3 dudes from Texas who were up in Canada solely to watch rodeo.
Yep.
Their political leanings and opinions.
Absolutely. Die-hard Democrats.
Yeah. They were
Couple
like
of Biden bros.
They were like, is it Biden's election to win now? No, they were like, that's the most badass thing I've ever seen. When the picture of him with his fist up in the air with the American flag and like one drop of blood coming down the side of his face.
Ear piercing. I remember. So not to dive back into election special, we got to stray away from that. Stay away from that. But I remember thinking at the moment, I was like, he just won.
Oh,
You know, yeah, like that photo came out
Yeah.
with his clip. I was even like
And that was before Biden had dropped out too. So it was like, oh, you've got like Biden who's already like not doing too hot.
yeah,
Like having trouble with
everything, wiping his butt,
like walking,
talking,
existing.
yeah.
And then Trump like narrowly dodges getting assassinated. And he like, that picture is iconic. I mean, whether you like him or not, that's an iconic photo.
And, you know, I think it's fair. I think we should assert that, like, it's good that he didn't die. That would have been pretty wild.
I think, I mean, people are like, oh, you know, it would have been better if he had because, you know, then we wouldn't have this crazy division going on right now. And I'm like, no, we would have had intense division like the day after that.
Oh.
Like, can you imagine, like, think about what happened on January 6th.
There was, okay. And I want to
not this upcoming one, or if when you're listening to this, it might be in the past, but the January 6th, 2021.
How electric that was.
Like, but think about that.
No, how
and then
polarizing
think about,
and what that led to with people literally storming the Capitol building and like desecrating the sacred institutions of American democracy. Yeah, it was pretty fucking wild.
Well, and nobody, like, he did not die.
Yeah, he just said like, "Hey, if I lose, y'all better while out."
Yeah.
I thought that, you know, that was kind of crazy. There was some conspiracy theories that maybe it was like planned, like that, like to bolster him. Mm-hmm. But we got to talk about like the fact that it was an untrained marksman that like clipped him on the ear. Like 1,000,000 to 1, you're not making that shot. And just, okay, here's the plan. I'm gonna go up there. I'm gonna say a bunch of shit about building the wall. You know, I'm going to talk about toilet flushing or whatever the fuck he was going on about at that time. And all I want you to do is just graze my ear so I look super tough and badass. No way. He was literally millimeters from fucking death.
Yeah.
From like a big Kurt Cobain.
And you know what's crazy is the two people that tried to assassinate him, like the second one didn't really actually get a shot at him or anything. He was just like hiding in the bushes on his golf course waiting for a chance.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you said two, and I kind of drew a blank there.
Yeah, no, he actually didn't take a shot or anything. I don't even think he got very close.
He was just going to show him his wiener. He wasn't going to do anything.
But both of them were former Trump supporters who decided that he no longer represented their views. So, like, and they both, I think, were like of the view that he was not extreme enough. Like, they were feeling like...
He'd softened up too much.
Yeah. And is my understanding of the situation. I could be wrong, but it's kind of interesting that both people that tried to kill him were former, like, you know, ardent Trump supporters.
That's spooky. That's a little like ominous, I would say. You're not far enough, right?
Yeah.
Yikes.
A little bit spooky.
Yeah. All right, let's get off that one. We talk about Trump a lot. Okay, another 2024 news story. Trump is reelected.
Due to the picture.
Yeah, we can fucking skip that one. All right. Okay, another blockbuster for you. Liam Payne, former One Direction member, self-assassinates. This time, this time did not miss. Hit the concrete exactly as he intended. What's your take on that? Did you read about that? Were you involved in that? Are you a 1D guy? Or
I'm not a One Directioner.
Okay.
I think it's unfortunate when anybody feels like, you know, it's come to the point they have to take their own life.
Absolutely.
But also, he was apparently like drinking heavily, and it could have totally been an accident or like him fucking around, and like, who knows, right? Like, it may not have been intentional.
They had to like the hotel staff had to get him under control several times prior to that incident. And that was the whole, what was it, like pink cocaine or pink fentanyl, whatever the fuck that was, you know, an investigation. You know, I love that narrative. And by love, I mean kind of like what's wrong with the world. That they're like, oh my God, it's so sad that he was given these drugs and just like went fucking insane. I definitely am somewhere in between, like anytime someone takes their own life, it's very sad, very, very touchy issue, something to not mess around with. But also these like super, super, super wealthy, famous people getting themselves into trouble and taking so many drugs to do these wild things. It's kind of like, I don't know how much to really care about this, honestly.
Yeah, well, it part of it comes from, I think, again, it goes back to a lot of these people who gain huge amounts of celebrity at a young age, like all these guys did. Since they were teenagers, they have not been told no.
Yeah.
Right. And like you can build up this sense of invincibility, and it can lead to these things where you think you can take more drugs than you really can. You can, fuck around on your balcony in a hotel more than you probably reasonably should. Like it inflates their, I don't want to say ego, but it like, they feel like nothing bad has ever happened to me. So why would it happen now?
And they're so outside what would be a normative experience. And I also think there's something to be said. Like obviously this man's a drug user and he's a young person. When did that start? It's very well documented that people using drugs prior to like the age of 25, even if it's cannabis, these have like major consequences, ramifications for the development of your psyche, your ability to process emotion. And like who knows when that started, what that lifestyle of being in the world's foremost sexiest boy band did to him. And then like he doesn't have the coping skills. So yeah, I think objectively sad. I think RIP, but also that was one that I read and I was like, no way.
Yeah, that was one where I was like, it's sad, but it's like, I mean, that doesn't drastically change the direction of my life.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh, I thought you were doing a One Direction joke.
It kind of was an unintended pun.
There you go. Okay.
But yeah, it is crazy to think though, like child stardom is weird. Like if one of my kids ever started to get famous before they were 18, I'd shut that shit down so fast.
Oh yeah. And then I'd be like, I'd LeVar Ball, where I'm like, I want to be famous.
I'm taking over. This is about me.
Let's actually have a show about me. I'm better than Michael Jordan.
Buy my $600 Kmart
I've
shoes.
never lost. You know what? And I think this is opportune. I think I should just chime in here. There's a lot of death. When you find stories about 2024, things to talk about, the things that make the headlines are things.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah. So I just want to let the listeners know this is not intentional. I'm not trying to lead you down like a doom scroll morbid type situation, but
let's rehash all the bad things that happen.
Yeah. There's a quick aside. I did try to find actually, because we do extensive research here at Rad Dad Industries. We had our team working on it tirelessly, and they were hard pressed to come up with positive news facts. And so I Googled, or the team down in research and development Googled positive news stories, and it was like this fucking Iberian lynx has come back from the brink of extinction. I'm like, that's what we're talking about here. Like no one, that's not a fucking thing.
Nobody wants to talk about all the planes that landed successfully.
Yeah. That soon.
Well, no, like I realize I say this after there's been 2 major airplane accidents. But
that was just coincidence.
That's just coincidence. We used to say that all the time in broadcast school.
That's an expression.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was poor timing.
that was fucking yesterday. But yeah, there's a couple touchy ones, and I did try to do like what was positive, and so there's a couple positives, but there's my PSA. Like literally the very next one is Matthew Perry's death. So let's unpack that.
Oh fuck, that was in 2024.
That was.
Okay, so some of these things, like when I was hearing about some of these reviews or watching that piece of shit Netflix special.
Yeah, fuck you, Netflix.
Some of these things that happen early in the year, I don't know, it's weird. Time is a human construct. But
That's
it feels
deep.
like it was years ago.
Yeah.
Like when you say Matthew Perry's death, I'm like, oh, well, that was in 2022.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that was less than 12 months ago, obviously.
I felt very betrayed by Matthew Perry. I really did. I liked him, and I listened to his like autobiography.
And it was like a crazy story about overcoming addiction.
Yeah, and I really felt for the guy, and it sounded terrible. And then it kind of came out that like a huge chunk of that was just fabricated, and then that narrative, that story was validated because he died of an overdose. He was absolutely still using drugs.
Yeah,
and so almost kind of in the same vein of Liam Payne, when Matthew Perry, when they found him in the hot tub, I was kind of like, huh, like. Fuck you, man. I'll go a little deeper. I'll open up. When I listened to that book, his autobiography, there were several things that he said that really resonated, like about addiction. Like I've had my ups and downs. I've touched the void here and there and had to kind of like straighten out over the course of my years. nothing on that scale, but definitely like growing up in my 20s, I was a pretty wild cat. Got myself into a lot of trouble. Now I'm a family man. I'm reformed. But there's always a part of me, a piece of me that's kind of like close to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's what I when I refer to it as kind of like touching the void, is it's like there are definitely nights where I'm having drinks with the dudes, we're partying, we're going crazy, and then like the next thing I know, I'm jumping through my wife's Acura windshield as like a wrestling joke. Like I can really take it there. And there was a part in the book where Matthew Perry says, like people who don't understand addiction, let me put it like this: like you might be inside your AA meeting while you're thinking you're getting better and you're making progress, and your addiction personified is out in the parking lot doing one-armed push-ups. Like it never goes away, know? And I was kind of like, my favorite quote ever. I think it's who's uber rich guy, Berkshire Hathaway. Come on,
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. I believe Warren Buffett says, and I could be misquoting him if you hear the little jingle, but the chains of habit are often too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. Yeah,
profound.
It is very profound, and I think about these things a lot. So when I listened to that book, I definitely I'd gained a lot more respect for Matthew Perry and felt like I understood his plight. And then he died of drugs, and I was like, "Oh fuck, dude!" Like, on one hand, it's kind of like you lost that fight, and on the other hand, it's like, why'd you put this fucking book out trying to lift everyone up if you were just like still in the game? But now it's murky. Like, were people feeding him drugs unintentionally? That was an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, and so again, to like go back to all these celebrities that this happens to, it's like, again, it feels like nobody tells them no because you want to be around this person, right? And so they almost like self-select for yes men to be, or yes women to be around them, and eventually,
or yes them,
yes thems, and eventually it just like blows up. But it's like somebody needs to be around you. Like if you're one of those people, you need somebody around you that's going to tell you no. But that never happens because you're super successful. And of course I want to hear yes all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not successful, but I would love that. If there was somebody that always told me yes, that if I want to do drugs, you're going to be there with me and do drugs with me. Yeah. It's like, and you feel bad for the guy because he was talking about trying to overcome this, and then obviously he lost that battle, and it was like, it's like, well, yeah, he talked about how it's in the parking lot waiting for you, right? And so I don't know, I would say probably he meant everything he wrote in earnest, and he was maybe in a sick way, he sort of predicted his own demise, right?
I think there was a couple stories going around at the time that kind of painted the picture of him, doing that book, knowingly to kind of mislead and maybe generate a bit of income. And this is total conjecture, total hearsay. Do not come to the Rad Dad Redemption podcast for facts.
No.
Come to the podcast to get bummed out
about all the celebrities.
Just talk about all the celebrity deaths. But there was a bit of a storyline there where he had maybe just put that book out to get people like me, to get other fans to be like, wow, fuck, he's one of us, and then use that money to buy drugs. And again, it's big picture stuff like that. Maybe that does paint the picture of the throes of addiction, or the throes of addiction, however you say that word.
Yeah. How unfortunately ironic would it be if that sort of did, like, because I mean, Matthew Perry did not really do a whole lot of notoriety for years, right?
Yeah.
Like he was huge on Friends. I think he had a few projects after that, but
whole 9 yards.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't like a household name.
Where's that movie? He's with Zac Efron. He's old Zac Efron. I'll shut up.
I don't know.
He's had his hit films.
He's had some, but I mean his name. So I wonder if that sort of like thrust him back into the spotlight, and he sort of got back to that way of life that he was living when he was on Friends.
Yeah.
Which sounds like when he was in like the deepest point of his addiction.
Yeah.
Like, so it'd be kind of ironic if he was like trying to tell his story about overcoming this, and it sort of pushed him back into that life that he was talking about escaping.
You know what? I feel like this is very cathartic. I feel like we talked it out. And whereas I did not care about Liam Payne's death, sorry, bro, R.I.P., I'm going to bring it back. It'll come full circle. It is sad that Matthew Perry died. So, genuine RIP to that guy. There you go.
I feel like now we're ranking
deaths. Oh shit. Okay. Well, all right. Do we keep going on the death route? Now here's the thing. I only have one more death to talk about, and then we can kind of lighten it up. So I apologize. You guys can skip ahead. Luigi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of a hot topic still.
It's definitely ongoing, but definitely in 2024. So Luigi Mangione assassinates United Healthcare CEO. And definitely going to stay away from solving this one. Just going to maybe talk about this one in review. It is a wildfire story. Like, he is the people's vigilante.
But to some people, he's like a horrible criminal.
Absolutely, because he is, according to the law. And
yeah, according to the law.
He's also a white man being celebrated for committing armed violence. You know, there's a lot of aspects to this story, but the discussion you and I had, a very open and honest discussion off air, was, you know, maybe not directly responsible and certainly not deserving of a death sentence. But United Healthcare is undeniably guilty of engaging in corporate harm and ruining the lives of thousands of Americans.
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands of Americans. The amount of, and this is, you were telling me about this, but like the single greatest reason for bankruptcy in the United States is medical debt.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, this company they were probably the slimiest in an industry of slimy piece of shit companies.
Absolutely.
They had an AI algorithm that was essentially trained to reject first and make all these hoops for people to jump through to get their health care. And obviously some people, they would either give up and just suck it up and pay the bill, putting them into debt, or they would potentially die along the way while waiting for treatments to get approved that they couldn't afford and didn't want to put on their credit card or whatever. And they had, I think their reject rate was like 31%. So like 3 out of 10 claims that come through were rejected. And that was like twice as high as the industry average. So like, yeah, this company was, corporate harm is a good word for it, good phrase for it. Yeah, they were hurting people. And this guy had enough. And he did something that I bet you tens of thousands of Americans wish they had the balls to do. And I think that's why he's so celebrated, is because that's not a unique experience for people in the United States. It's weird for us in Canada. Like,
you took the words right out of my mouth. I don't think we can really connect with what that would be like if a family member or ourselves, had a medical emergency or something befell them, some type of sickness, and in order to get better, in order to get care, it ruined our lives. Yeah. We lost our home. It destroyed our marriage. I no longer can afford to put my kids through school, or even to attend school, or even maybe feed my children. Like, it's a devastating thing that happens to tons of people.
And think about it, like, again, I think about it from the standpoint of a parent. Like, if for all the faults of the Canadian medical system, and there are many, at least if you are terminally ill, like, the state takes care of you. It may be slow, it may be frustrating,
yeah,
but you are not going into debt to get your cancer treatment, right?
Correct.
Of course, there's I don't want to minimize that. There's costs associated with potentially taking time off work, fucking paying for parking at hospitals and shit like that. Like, those are things that do have a cost associated, but you're not getting a $100,000 bill for your chemotherapy in Canada, right? Unless you choose to go private or go outside of the country. But as a parent, I'm thinking, if I'm sitting here and my child is like terminally ill, or their illness could become terminal if allowed to progress far enough, and I'm sitting here arguing with my health insurance company about treatments, and they're saying, well, no, we're not going to approve this, we're not going to approve this, you can do this. And so I'm having to make those decisions about care for my child, and then something were to happen to my child. I think I said this to you. I'm shocked that this is the first time this has happened.
Yeah.
it's crazy that nobody's done that previously. I'm sure people have wanted to. This guy decided, fuck it, I'm doing it.
I'm going to be that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we'll very.
That's one death I feel no compassion for. I was like, well, you got fucking shot. Go fuck yourself.
I was gonna say, you know, we're gonna maybe sidestep picking a side on that one, and then you're like, you know what? Fuck him. He's fucking
like
he got what
here's
was
the
coming
thing.
to him.
Here's the thing.
That's how I feel.
I think Luigi should face the consequences,
the full extent of the law for his crimes,
because you don't want to get into a slippery slope where it's like, well, I've been wronged by a business or a CEO, and I now feel I have the right to end their life.
Yeah,
because like that's a slippery slope where it's like,
celebrate them all you want, enjoy your life in prison.
Yeah, enjoy your life in prison. But it's a slippery slope. You don't want to be like, well, the United Healthcare guy, he was fucking people over. And also the TELUS CEO raised prices by $5. So like, you're like, that's also wrong. It's like, no, like, let's not get into that. Let's not get into like vigilante justice and, just.
We don't need more of that. We need less of that.
But yeah, it was like, wow, somebody did it and he's going to face the consequences. And, I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Agreed. I'm going to give you that one. I'm going to give you a full, what? Weird. You and I, same page in it.
Huh.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, I guarantee that's it for sad ones.
Till I do my year and
so we
predictions.
predict. And you know what's funny is I just scrolled on my list, and the next one was a sad one. So I just gonna. Okay, Rad Dad Redemption wins Okotoks Chili Cook-Off.
Yeah,
and gets first 1-star review as a result of telling people to listen to our podcast at our booth. Year in review. We've broken this down so many times, and I had questions about this because the paper did report that we weren't in fact grand champions, and we did explicitly shame the judges and did explicitly clarify that we were the voted champions, not the panel champions.
Which is the one that matters.
Which is the one that matters, and the reason I wanted to bring it up again in the year in review is I'm excited to do it again. I think coming away from it, there was a little bit of fatigue there. I was like, man, that actually cost us a ton of money. Yeah. You know, it's like, we have families and we're just like, let's make a $400 batch of chili.
Of all the things we've done, like hosting the podcast costs money, like having our websites
cost money.
Like
the live events cost money.
It's hard to put a value to that. The chili was like monetarily the biggest thing we've put into this podcast.
It was a total sink.
Yeah. But it was worth it.
And then coming out of it, I was actually like, I don't know if I want to go through that again. But enough time has passed.
Yeah, time heals all.
Yeah, time heals all. Enough time has passed. Free Luigi. It's been enough time. He's done his time. I want to go back and I want to do the clean sweep, which I don't think politically they're going to let us, if I can say that. I don't think there's a world that exists where we can be both the panel vote and the people's choice.
Well, no, like even second and third were different from the panel choice and the voting choice.
Yeah.
Like there was no crossover there. So I think that's intentional. They're like, we want to make as many people feel special as possible. So we're going to look at the panel vote or the voted selections.
Yeah.
And then the three best that didn't make it into that are going to get our panel votes.
But I did think, and I don't want to sneak into your area of predictions, but I thought it might be cool to source another local competition and enter the Baja Blast. Like if there might be one in fucking Mindapore. And we could return to Okotoks and do like our thing and try to reclaim some glory as a repeat.
We did talk about this last year and we never got around to it because I think it's earlier in the year, so we might have to get on our horse early.
We're not very organized.
No, so probably won't happen. But there's the Rib Fest or the Rib Cook-Off.
Yeah,
and I think we had talked about trying to make Baja Blast flavored like barbecue sauce.
We definitely, there's more opportunities out there for us to engage in cooking
with Baja Blast.
cooking with Baja Blast.
Maybe we'll put out a whole cookbook when this is all said.
But that was my positive news story. That was my first, like, hey, that was pretty cool.
And it was about us.
And it was about us. That's the best thing that happened in 2024 is a story about us. Another throwback for us. Oppenheimer wins the Oscar for most sex scenes in a movie. Great film.
I don't think it was most sex scenes.
No.
I've seen some movies.
I've seen movies with way more. I was watching one before you came over.
There's a whole website with a ton of them on there.
Okay, well, I think atomic bomb biopics.
Man, I guess that did come out last summer 23, so it would have won the awards in 20. Yeah, that's
Are you
crazy.
doing the same? You're doing the same Mandela
I'm doing the
effect
same
thing?
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing where I'm like, well, no, that was years ago.
When did that come out? I'm gonna roll the last couple into a ball here, just so we can keep it timely. 2024, we had the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl, the Celtics win the NBA Finals, and of course, the Edmonton Oilers almost winning the Stanley Cup.
You got tantalizingly close.
2 champions and an almost champion. Okay, which Dom Toretto would tell you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning. We didn't win. And we're not.
I mean,
it
was an exciting time,
yes.
right? Like, you know, I'm not an Oilers fan, but I think about like
You
the
could be.
Red Mile and stuff, and how exciting that was when that and it was an organic thing. Like, I feel like every time the Flames have made a run, they've tried to bring back that Red Mile vibe, and it's just not the same.
Yeah.
That first time that a team makes a big run, there's just like this organic excitement. It's like impossible to recreate that.
And so here's I actually wrote this down knowing that it would be the segue for this. So I decided, listeners, at the start of the NFL season, that I was going to commit. So the context here is that I am historically not an NFL fan, and for no other reason than I never played football. I don't understand the game, and I never have spent a lot of time watching it. So like my opinion on football is essentially moot. But I do find it an exhilarating sport. I think it's very well done. And my decision at the beginning of the year was to kind of just callously and unapologetically be like, my best friend is a Bills fan. I'm a Bills fan. You know, like I like the Bills Mafia. I really vibe with those guys jumping through tables and lighting shit on fire.
Yeah.
That is cool to me. And so I just kind of arbitrarily was like, Bills fan. And I would say at the beginning of the season, I was doing it just that superficially. Like, me like this team, me like football, and then doing nothing with that. But just recently, down this last stretch, I've been watching, actually spending time on Sunday. I came here with you and your father-in-law, and we just watched Red Zone, and it was awesome. And I'm fucking in. Like I'm really in. And we have Kansas City 14-1. The only loss is to us.
Yeah.
But now we have this kind of like all roads lead through Kansas City because they finished first, and we have to go into their barn and we have to fucking beat them. And I'm like, this is a thing. We have to get there.
If they make the conference finals,
So
which I think is a good bet.
do we get past Baltimore? Does what's happening? You tell me. This is your time to shine.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Bills are like, they're such a well-rounded team. They're so good. I think, honestly, and I hate to sound like a hater, but I am a hater, Kansas City is quite possibly the biggest fraud in the NFL this year.
Hot take.
They have barely won so many of their games. Like their one-score games, they've almost lost to like the Browns, like these teams that they have no business being in the same building as.
In the Super Bowl era, no team has won 14 games and scored fewer points than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. I was looking.
That's a crazy fucking stat.
Yeah, and it was showing like number of points scored, and it was like their 5th lowest in the league. And all the teams ahead of them, like 1, 2, 3, 4, in terms of lowest points scored, are like contending for first overall pick. Like they are bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
And so it's like they've eked out these like low scoring games, which you do have to be able to, play defense and win those games. That's important. But I'm like, man, 1 or 2 kicks goes wrong for them throughout the year. They're easily, 10-5 right now. Right. Like, and so it's like, okay, well, I don't know. I keep saying that. My wife's like, "You're a hater."
Do you have a football prediction in your 2025? You can make one. You'll add it in now.
Man, like it would be crazy to see like a Bills Lions Super Bowl.
Oof. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Bunch of blue collar boys.
Yeah,
playing
like
some ball.
two like blue collar cities
Historically
that have
bad
like
teams that fans have been put through the fucking ringer.
and they're both like incredible teams in my opinion. I think I do think that the Lions are the best team in football.
Yeah.
And honestly, like as much as I want to see the Bills win, if it's not going to be them, I'd be happy to see the Lions win.
My brother always gives me shit for that, and he actually is a listener. I know he won't admit it. No, he admits it all the time. But he always gives me shit for that, for doing like a second favorite. Like when the Oilers lose, I want the Kings to thrive. I really do. You know?
Yeah.
And he's like, "What are you fucking for?" Yeah.
I wouldn't
Adult
say that
men
I'm
are-
like a Lions fan
That's
or
fair,
anything.
yeah.
Like
Adult men are not allowed to have two favorites. You can't. You can't.
I think it's fine. Like in the NFL, I like the Bills and I like the Seahawks. I would say I'm a bigger Bills fan, but I do love the Seahawks. But yeah, I think it'd be cool to see the Lions win.
Yeah.
There's
teams-
some really good teams though. Like the Packers are really good this year. I think like sneaky good, where they've got a few losses and people are writing them off a little bit, but they're like
They could
super good.
turn it up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, postseason's a different ballgame. Literally.
yeah.
I was just talking about that with a buddy of mine. Actually, not you. There you go. There's the evidence. I'm literally having conversations about football with
other people.
With other
Wow.
people, and we're talking about like that running back aspect in the playoffs. You know,
Yeah.
like teams can have those players that can really drive a game. And I would say less so in the NFL. You know, like in the NHL hockey teams, you can have like a player that is your essential team.
NHL, NBA is a big one. Like NBA, you can have two guys
Yeah.
that will single-handedly win you a championship. Whereas like, NFL, running backs are like borderline expendable these days.
Oh, okay.
Like you have a running back get injured and there's always like some random guy that steps up.
Yeah. I feel like just to wrap up that segment, because I did mention it, the Celtics, you know, my brother-in-law is, I would say without a doubt, the single biggest Celtics fan on planet Earth. I don't know that I've ever seen him with my eyeballs IRL without some form of Celtics gear.
I'm not sure I've seen his child without some form
Yeah,
of like,
no, he is 82 games a year, does not miss. I think they play 82. I do not watch basketball. I can't fudge my way through that. That is a sport that I like it, I enjoy it, but I don't know it at all.
Yeah, I'll watch basketball in the playoffs. That's about
But
it.
this is kind of I'm just going to recite what he's told me. Here's your report, your Rad Dad report for 2024. That team has remained unchanged.
Yeah, I think that was a big narrative. Yeah,
That is a championship squad, and it is all the same guys doing all the same shit. So expect a Celtics championship. Yeah, which is a good opportunity because we kind of turned in the 2024. I have no more things that I thought were interesting.
do you want to look ahead then?
Let's look ahead. It's time to look ahead. I do just want to like maybe I don't know. I'm feeling weird about it, about all the death. You know, we just picked the stories and we just talked about them. So there's a bit of a post. I should have given a pre, but here's a post like, we don't condone suicide. It is very sad when people die. We're pretty good people, but those are just the fucking stories, and you came here to hear our thoughts on them. So thanks for listening on that. Yeah. Did you? Yeah, I feel like I had to say that.
Well, yeah. I mean, you never want to like glorify death.
Yeah, definitely not. So let's get positive. What's happening? Or maybe let's get pessimistic. What's happening in 2025?
Let's start with death.
Fuck.
Not technically like death, like somebody dying, but I don't know if you've ever heard this term, but I think it's going to become a part of the mainstream lexicon in 2025, and that is the dead internet theory.
Enlighten me.
So it is the theory, and it's been going around for a few years, but I feel like this is going to be the year that where like you can go to a dinner party and people will be talking about it. And it is the theory that with the growth of AI, and it's getting better and better, it feels like every day, like ChatGPT releases a new update and stuff, that all of these conversations that you're seeing online, like if you go on to say Reddit and you go into a subreddit and you're reading a conversation, a lot of it is actually going to be bots talking to each other. because you've got different actors creating bots. Could be state actors, could be companies, could be individuals, but they're all creating bots to try and conversate like humans and come up with ideas like humans, and they're just going to proliferate online. You're already seeing it. Like we could take this podcast and put it into an AI service, and it'll immediately spit out boom, 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 30 reels and automatically upload them. And it's like not even, this is AI taking our content, or you could even generate your own content, and it's just putting it out there. And so a lot of people are talking about eventually you're going to get to a point where social media is like 90% bots arguing with each other, potentially trying to achieve some purpose.
And so it just becomes like an arbitrary wasteland of nothingness. Like it's not
like
even,
there's no human original thought.
That might save humanity.
Or destroy it, because, well, the thought process is like, for every positive bot you create, like let's say you and I wanted to make a bot to go talk on social media, it would be funny. But there could also be like China or Russia using bots to try and influence political discussion.
But here's I'll unpack my thoughts just a tiny bit. When I say it's going to save humanity, like I have more faith in people. I feel like we recognize that, and people disassociate with the internet.
I don't think we do. Because have you seen? And there's been people posting about it where it's like,
I would hope so. Like if it gets to that point,
there's like people posting.
Are we disagreeing?
Yes, clearly generated AI images on like Facebook, and it's to generate clicks and attention and comments. And they post this, and it's like, this is so obviously AI generated. It's like a little child in like India, and he's riding on top of a train made out of like Coke bottles. And people are like, wow, that's so amazing that you're able to create that. Like, oh, the youth is like, and it's boomers that like cannot recognize the difference between real and AI generated.
Oof, actually, man, you just gave me a little chills a little bit. I have this conversation with Megan all the time, and I don't want to out her. I'm going to out her immediately right now. My beautiful wife, my darling mother of my children, the best person I know in the world. She fucking has no clue what's fake and what's not. The amount of time we'll do like a couples cuddle, and we'll watch reels together. It's a weird thing, but it's like we're in bed, we're about to hit the hay. She's just read a bit, and I'm like, let's watch some reels.
Do you guys compare algorithms? And she's like, what's wrong with your brain?
Totally. Oh yeah. She's always like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, you are so twisted. I'm like, yeah, like it's a thing. But with that happens quite often, and we'll watch something and she'll go like, that's insane. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, that was a crazy thing that we just watched on underwater sea animals. And I'm like, those were all fake. Like every image we just watched was a complete deep fake, was AI generated. And she's like, well, how do you know? And there's absolutely a je ne sais quoi. It's at the point right now. I think guys like us, this is a weird flex, but we spend so much time online.
You can suss it out.
We have impeccable media literacy. We really do. Our media literacy dicks are just huge. But that's right now.
Yeah.
And so it very well could get to the point where we're on the other side of that. And
I think it's my argument is it's not that far away. And I actually was very, very close to falling for one the other day.
Really?
It was like a recommended post that came up on I want to say it was on Instagram or something. And it was like a guy standing behind two wooden sculptures on a bench. And the caption was, a son carves his mother and father into wood. And at first I was like, that's like a really cool statue. But the joke was like, the lady like had these like perky nips.
Sick.
And like people were like,
wait, tell me more about that.
But people were like commenting, and this is how it generated like a lot of these, engagement is, people were commenting like, why did this kid spend so much time on his mom's nipples? And I was looking at it, and again, it was that je ne sais quoi. I was like, this is really cool, but I was like, there's something weird about this, and it's not just his mom's nips, right? And I was like, there's something, and then it's always with me when I'm looking at an AI image, it's the hands. And so then it was his dad's hands. He was like sitting with his hands on his thighs. And there was like, he had like 3 fingers on one hand and 4 on the other. And I was like, this kid went through so much like detail on his mom's nips that he forgot how many fingers his dad had.
maybe his dad had
maybe his dad was in like some horrible accident. And then I was looking closer and I was like, this there's something fucking weird. And then a few comments down there like, this is AI.
Yeah.
And then of course, like a few days later, I saw some article about this AI, like how people are getting tricked more and more. And this was actually the feature image on it.
No way.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, okay. But I was like, even then, after I saw it, I was like, okay, that comment kind of affirmed what I was feeling. But then I was also like, I'm just trusting a random commenter on Instagram, right? But I was like, if I hadn't seen that comment and I hadn't quite noticed the fingers, I'm the boomer that's like, wow, what a beautiful carving. Your parents must be so proud.
And you propagate
sharing
that.
it. Yeah.
That was actually, so there was the underwater sea creature, and then there was another one where there's these guys scuba diving, and it's they're above the surface, and they jump in the water, and then their cameras turn down, and they look, and underneath them there's I can't remember if they're sperm whales or gray whales, but there's a whole, or I think they're humpbacks actually. Inconsequential to the fucking story.
It's a whale.
It's a whale. But there's a whole bunch of them, and they're kind of swimming around, and it's like, it's incredibly believable, like Nat Geo believable. Again, lighting effects, underwater imagery, pretty easy to fake. Okay, the T-Rex in Jurassic Park 95 looked fucking 100% real, or 94, whatever the fuck that was. It looks very real. But then all of a sudden, all of these whales synchronize and start doing the exact same movements. And that's the one we were watching. And my wife is like, wow, nature. And I'm like, fucking no. Like, sorry, like this didn't happen. This is crazy. And it's kind of crazy that we are watching things and can't differentiate. So that is very spooky.
Yeah. And it's only 2024. And how long has like AI generated content been like?
Why would we create something like this? What the fuck is wrong with humanity?
I mean, there's potentially positives for AI. So, like, for example,
until they plug it into quantum computing, and we're just fucking like we're living Skynet.
Did you see? Okay, I can't believe we didn't do this in year in review. Google, like, they solved this huge quantum computing problem, which was, I'm probably horrible to explain it, but when you do quantum computing, you're basically like sending out an answer, and you're getting back a bunch of different answers, and so you have to send it out hundreds or thousands of times, and you take the average of the answers coming back.
Sending out a question, you mean?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's not like if you're doing a search on Google, it's like, it connects dot to dot. Whereas with quantum computing, it's like blasting it out, getting back information. Some of it could be wrong, but you're taking the aggregate to try and figure out
just
what's
reams
correct.
of just unfathomable amounts of information, and that's the aggregate.
And so they said, we've solved this huge step, but also we think that this proves that we are potentially living in what's the word I'm looking for? Like what's the term that I'm looking for? Multiple dimensions. Yeah. So they like that was like literally buried down. It's like we think this may potentially prove the existence of multiverses.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was like 3 weeks ago.
That's an immediate like get off the podcast and go just sink the rest of my night looking into that.
Yeah.
Oof. All right.
Anyway, so
Moving
but yeah,
on.
like but there could be positives to AI. Like you can punch in like a genetic sequence for a certain type of cancer, and it could come up with 100 solutions to cure this cancer faster than researchers could do in their entire lifetimes.
Definitely.
No, so there's positives.
I'm just going to keep it optimistic. We saved the Iberian lynx this year.
Thank God.
Thank Gat. Thank Gyat. So fucking, maybe we're not doomed, but that is actually not nice to talk about or think about.
No, it's actually like kind of alarming.
Don't like that.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
All the celebrities that are moving to Europe right now. So I don't know if you've seen Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis are moving to Europe.
Sorry. Kelso.
Yeah. They're moving to Europe. Ellen DeGeneres just moved to Europe. And a lot of them are kind of saying like the political climate in the US.
Yeah.
I think the real reason is their names are about to come out in these Diddy cases. And they're pulling a Roman Polanski and getting the fuck out of Dodge before shit pops off.
So Diddy was on my 24 list, and truth be told, I just don't actually, I'm not well read. I understand. It kind of all started when he was accused and obviously like found guilty of assaulting Cassie Ventura, and then it was like, he came out and he apologized. Hey, I did that. My bad. And then literal reams of people came forward and were like, no, actually, this guy's hosting like fucking wild baby oil sex orgies and like with underage women, and this is a Diddy party's a fucking thing.
Yeah. His security guard came out and said that he was like forcing him to have sex with underage girls. Like crazy stuff.
This kind of goes all the way back to Liam Payne. This is why like you can't get worked up. Like these people we idolize, these people we put on a pedestal, you know, they've never been told no. There's a theme there in this episode. Like all these people we fucking turn into living gods. You know, they're probably doing shit that we can't even imagine. And that shit is probably like very Epstein-esque.
Yeah.
Like that they are flying to private islands and watching midgets fight and fucking just typing on their keyboards. Oh. Wow.
All right.
More oil.
Hawking.
Yeah, rip, dude. I believe that. That's a conspiracy theory that I buy. I think there's a fucking world of shit in the entertainment industry that we couldn't even fucking look at.
Oh, yeah. I think, again, nobody's told them no, especially when you get to the level of like a P. Diddy.
Yeah.
You have such incredible amounts of power. You get away with it once, you get away with it twice, people start joining in on it. Like you can convince yourself that what you're doing is not even wrong, right? Like truthfully, I think that that's the point that they reach. And also, if you have millions of dollars and tons of celebrity, like what else gets you excited in life? And they do some fucking crazy things. And the fact that we had like Epstein and like all the people that were associated with him, which like nobody's gotten in trouble for it. Stephen Hawking died. You know, one of the current, like the incoming president of the United States was like best buds with him. Nobody's seen any consequences. And like with Diddy, it's like, oh, Jay-Z's like kind of a little bit in trouble, but you know, it's not really blowing up.
And everyone's like, it can't be him, not Jay.
Not Jay-Z.
Not Jay. I love his albums.
And like Ashton Kutcher is like Diddy's best friend.
Ashton Kutcher, fuck him so much. He was the dude that when Danny Masterson went down for raping someone, wrote an open letter and was like, I don't believe it. I don't buy it. He's a good fucking guy.
Yeah.
And then was just like convicted, dead to rights.
Yeah.
And was like, my bad.
And then and then when it blew up, when he got convicted, and everybody was like, I can't believe you like wrote a character letter for this guy. They did their little apology in front of like the barn door in their multi-million-dollar mansion.
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah. And his stupid wife.
Yeah, I do like her. She's hot.
She is. Yeah, but like, the she was underage when they were like first filming all their scenes in that 70s show.
You can't, entertainment industry,
and
corporate
so,
harm.
And so here's the other thing is like, people want to like point blame. And I'm like, how many of these people were victimized as young people coming into that industry and it was normalized for them?
Yeah.
Right. And so then it's like,
and then they propagate that behavior.
Yeah,
right?
they propagate that. Hurt people, right? Like, and so it doesn't excuse what you've done, but it's like, man, like there's a whole fucking nasty web and a very weird conversation that we have to have as like a society.
Oof.
Yeah.
Man, we are struggling to keep any shred of positivity. There's actually very little comedy this episode.
Here's one.
Okay. Bring it back.
This year, Canada Border Services Agency is going to confiscate one of my Swedish nicotine pouch orders, and I'm going full anti-establishment. I'm building a killdozer.
Easy.
I'm starting a Coots blockade.
Stop. Easy, Luigi. I couldn't even get that one out. I couldn't even get that one. Killdozer. That's a sick reference,
right?
Your references are off the hook.
I think I'm one confiscated nicotine pouch package away from just losing it.
Oh man, we've broken that down. Like I am so fucking sick of being told no. Like look at this. Honestly, look at this fucking world we live in. Let me do my shit. Yeah. Let me do my shit. I'm a consumer. Fuck you. Sorry, a little heated there.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
So CBSA, you're on notice.
Yeah. Consider yourself notified. Yeah, all right. I like that one. Great prediction.
Don't touch my packages.
Don't. I love it. I come over here. I pull into your parking lot, and you know, like I
also known as a driveway.
A driveway. Whoa, what's in this beer? 7%. Uh-oh. I pull into your driveway and my gums start itching. You know, like I could be like your bud man. You could get me to do some shit. Like I come here to get a fix. I love our chats. I love you. But I come in and I'm like, I know this guy's got some import shit that I am going to stick in my mouth.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And it's all the packaging's in a language that I don't know or understand.
Oh, God.
I'm just trusting that the Swedes know what they're doing.
That's a great prediction, my dude.
Yeah. Okay, here's another cool one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that was a little deathy too. That was a little dark.
Killdozer. That was a funny dark.
All right.
Okay, this one has, I promise, no death involved.
You fucking, it's going to be there.
No. By the end of the year, someone on your street, and I don't mean specifically your street, I mean like people in general, the street that you live on, whoever you are, wherever you live, someone on your street by the end of the year is going to have a domestic humanoid robot doing their chores. So
in 2025.
Yes. And here's the crazy thing. I saw an article and it was like top 10 humanoid robots coming to market. And some of them are already on market. Like you've seen the Tesla one that's coming to market. Kim Kardashian has one.
I hate that. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's companies that already have them out on market and they are like, in the grand scheme of things, not that expensive. And so there's one that I saw that's already commercially available. You can get it it's going to happen so fast. You're going to be sitting, eating breakfast. You're going to look out your window and your neighbor's robot is like taking the garbage out to the curb.
Oh my fucking God. Okay.
These things are $16,000.
I have thoughts.
That's not that much money. Like it is a lot of money, but to have like basically a personal butler forever or until like its batteries burn out, 16 grand. It's going to happen.
On your fucking life am I buying a robot to live in. I don't even like Alexa. I don't even like knowing that when I request a song that is like recorded and like fed into an algorithm to like better serve me. I hate that. I hate when I talk about pizza that my phone fucking comes up and says like, you know what you should have is all this fucking cheesy bread, you fat piece of shit. Like I can't handle that stuff. It actually sucks. So to think that someone would actually knowingly have an AI fucking robot in their home, no. I've seen way too many sci-fi movies to know that how that story ends. That's murder. That's Skynet. It can't happen. I would never. I'm calling it right now. I don't care if every single person on planet Earth. I'm going full Unabomber. I am out. I am out. I quit. I'm done with society. I will not condone that. That is so fucked up. I hate that. Take your own garbage out, you absolute piece of shit. Have you seen that SNL skit with the Honda bots?
No.
Where they like fucking they advance to the point where they can serve food. And it's just like, do you want a ooey gooey cheesy wheezy quesadilla? I hate it. I can't even wrap my head around that.
You won't be the one on your street that has it, but somebody will. And I feel like in 2025, it's not going to be like everybody, but I think there will be, let's say in Okotoks.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be shocked if there's like a dozen people by the end of the year that have these robots.
All right, let me add on to that prediction. Let me give that a prediction plus. There will be someone on my street that buys one of those, and I will have to go to small claims court because when I see it on the sidewalk taking out the garbage, my Toyota Avalon is going to fucking hit it into a million pieces.
You know what's funny is like, you know this about me. I'm like an early adopter. I could see myself being that guy.
We would have to have a real talk. We would. I don't like that for humanity.
We could have it sitting in this chair right beside me here. And we've said we need like somebody to fact check. Like we'll just give it a laptop and be like, hey, like, can you fact check that? And it's like, yes, master. I would make it call me master. I would make it call me master. What would you like to be called? Oh, what is your given name? You will not call me by my government name. You will call me master.
That is so problematic.
You won't refer to my children by name. You will call them Offspring 1 and Offspring 2. I want it to be as like just dystopian as possible. Offspring 1 is refusing to eat her vegetables.
You get to program it, so it's like Master, Offspring 1. This is like your wife. Sup, bitch. Bitch, please. You program it so it won't do anything she wants. I don't know. I think it's broken. I don't know if I have to take it.
There's a hierarchy in the house, and it's me, then the robot.
I guess I got to take it back to the robot store. You fall in love with your robot because it just treats you so good.
That's gonna happen. No, not specifically me, but like, okay, there's gonna be these robots that are out there. Inevitably, some lonely guy is gonna fuck his robot. Like that's, it's gonna happen.
100%, 8,000%. You know, even the fact that the sex doll industry is like a thriving industry is indicative of like how many dudes are gonna fuck these robots. There's a prediction.
The death of the traditional family unit in 2025.
I hate the future. I'm going to Europe. Me and Ashton, we're out of here.
Fuck. Okay, here's one that starts off negative but potentially positive.
Okay,
we can discuss. World War III will be on the brink of popping off. Like we're talking like one Franz Ferdinand bullet away from popping off, but aliens step in and stop it.
Oof.
And here's my theory.
Yeah. Okay.
Tinfoil hat. You know all these drones being spotted all around the world, specifically like New Jersey is a big one, but it's happened everywhere over the last few weeks. Maybe.
Wasn't that Chris Christie ordering drones at McDonald's?
that was Trump posted. It was like an AI generated image. Yeah, speaking of AI, like love him or hate him. Love him or hate him.
He's hilarious.
He does some funny shit. And so when they were the New Jersey drones, if nobody's seen this, Trump tweeted or is on Truth Social, maybe I can't remember. Not that I'm a member there. I saw it come across my feed.
If you're talking about an alien invasion, I think you might be their fucking biggest Patreon.
Trump posted this picture and it was like Chris Christie sitting there and all these like McDonald's branded drones with like little bags of McDonald's were like
just dropping them off,
honing in on his location. And it was pretty fucking funny. But anyway, no, I think that they are a positive race of aliens, in my theory. And I think that they're going to be like, they know that next World War, they've been watching us for years, decades. They know next World War, there's going to be nukes popping off. And they're like, as an ethical interstellar society, we cannot allow this race of hairless monkeys to destroy their entire planet.
Okay, I know you're doing this for comedy. I know you don't think this. I know this can't be real. You're familiar with the Fermi paradox. Like, there's absolutely no possible way that aliens visit us. There's also, I gotta keep it. This is our most contentious episode ever, the most disagreement we've ever had. I have more faith in humanity. I do think a lot of the World War III hype, the minutes to midnight, I feel like that's driven by the media machine. And I think that there are greater powers in play. I think these sex parties are happening in the entertainment industry. And I also think that we are being engineered by this culture of fear to behave a certain way. Like there's a deep cut. I don't think that we're that close. I think that there's these failed states that are fighting. I think there's these contextual battles occurring that have been essentially waged over, decades. I think there's proxy wars being fought by major superpowers, but I don't think Putin's going to push the button. I don't think Trump's going to push the button.
No,
I don't think
I agree. There. It would not be them. I think it's going to be like it'll be in the Middle East. It'll be like Iran has their back up against the wall, and they're like, you know what? Fuck it, nuke to Israel,
and we will wipe them off the planet. There you
go.
Yeah,
they'll get absolutely glassed, but then that's when things really pop off, right? Like if they were like, hey, we got one nuke, our backs against the wall, we're firing at Israel, and this is the end of humanity as we know it.
Can we release this episode?
I think so.
Yeah, we've had some like crazy, dark, hot takes.
Well, I don't know. I don't think that it'll be. Everybody's like, oh, Trump's going to press. I don't think he would. Putin's going to press a button. I don't think he would. But it's like you just need like one crazy guy with one nuke.
I think, although I disagree with you, I will give you that I'd be really relieved if like right at the last minute.
I know, I'm trying to build up hope.
Yes,
right?
Like, at the last minute.
They just come down, they're like, all right, this is done. Like, we've seen enough.
Yeah.
We've got 3D printers. You tell it what you want, it'll give you a burger. Here you go. Like, no need to go to work anymore.
And for the sake of humanity, they'll just have like comically small wieners or something.
They actually, no, they are just wieners. They just slink along like an inchworm. They're like,
I trust these guys. They don't seem like bad guys. They seem like cool guys I could hang with. Oh, man. All right. Do you have any more?
yeah, and it's a death one.
All right. Lay it on me.
And just to be clear, God, I got to be careful with this one. I do not think that this will be due to any type of violence. I do not think this will be due to anybody taking things in their own hands, nor would I support that. But I think Trump dies.
Can't even get it out.
I can't even get it out. Because he's 70 whatever. The man drinks nothing but Diet Coke and eats McDonald's. I have seen more pictures of Trump eating McDonald's in 2024 than I personally ate McDonald's.
Yeah, how dare that's a fucking, what do you call that? Like he's posting that picture of Chris Christie. He's literally eating McDonald's while doing that.
He eats more McDonald's than anybody else. Like, yeah, he thought that was funny as he's like getting McDonald's drone delivered to him. He's like, oh, imagine if there's like 40 of these and they're going to Chris
Trump's
Christie.
not doing drone deliveries. He gets the Secret Service to go out and get his shit, which is baller.
And like, so I'm just like, man, this guy's like not healthy. We watched like Joe Biden barely like get through that first debate, and they were like, oh, we got to cut this off. I'm like, man, Trump's like, he's not that much younger. He's like, what, 2 years younger?
Yeah.
Way more unhealthy objectively. I was like, hey, man, one of those Big Macs is going to finally do him in.
I believe it.
Yeah.
That was arguably the most plausible.
Oh, yeah. That is more plausible than aliens stepping in to stop wars. Yeah, for sure. Maybe not as plausible as the border services taking my nicotine pouches. But,
yeah.
Yeah. Not that I'm necessarily
Not hoping.
I'm not condoning anybody to take that into their own hands. I just think, objectively, unhealthy guy.
This like super old dude with like probably the world's worst cholesterol.
And the world's most stressful job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, did you see how Obama, when he started as president, he was like this young, go-getter is like, oh, it's like this young, cool president. When he left, it's like he aged 45 years. He was only in there for 8.
Yeah, I feel like maybe Trump treats that position a little differently. I feel
like a little
there's-
more blasé
Yeah,
about it.
I feel there's some obligations where he's like, yeah,
Who can I delegate this to?
get Kushner to do it. he's oh man, he's developing some type of super property over in Albania, and that was like Trump has like done like a lot of work to like sign deals and get like these protected environmental areas just like opened up for development. That's the type of shit he's doing in office. Is like propping himself and his family up.
It's personal enrichment. Well, and this last one was to keep himself out of jail. Like all these cases against him are now done.
Yeah, God, maybe we got to get to Europe. I honestly though, Europe, no, they're not so great.
No. Well, like, what are you gonna do, Ashton Kutcher? You're gonna go hang out with Roman Polanski?
Yeah, well, fuck Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah. It's like obviously you're trying to get away from something.
Yeah. What do you got? Is that
was it?
That was the
my
last one.
prediction.
Ooh, man, what a wild ride that episode was. Holy hell.
A lot of ups and downs.
It's mostly downs, almost exclusively like bitter downs and like really horrible takes.
You know what? Hopefully it's a positive year. Maybe we get like our first sponsorship.
Yeah, cheers. Well, I was asked about that. Clink. I was asked about that on the way over here. Like, what's the goal? Are you guys, is it you're trying to monetize this thing? And the reality is, like, we have episodes that have nearly 200 listens, which sounds super small scale because it is, and we have episodes that have like fucking 30 listens. And we've kind of fluctuated between pie in the sky, really pushing the pace with this podcast, and dare I say, and I know we've both thought it. I know we've both had the thought of like, do we maybe make a plan to bring this project to an end? And we've definitely, I think, both arrived at the fact that unless we're talking in terms of like chili economics, we both don't spend a lot to do this, and we both love it very much.
Yeah,
and we can kind of take the pressure off ourselves. We cannot hold ourselves to a 2-week schedule. We're incapable. We've proved that. And we also ran into a couple beer years. Definitely ran into a couple of beer years.
Ooh, yeah.
Definitely ran into a couple of barriers this year with some planned stuff that was outside of our control. We had like a really great slate of guests lined up things fell apart. We learned some hard lessons, and it did take the wind out of our sails. We've got families, we've got young kids, we've got careers, unless they listen to this episode. I've got a small business that needs some attention. Like there's a lot going on in our lives. And I don't want to speak for you, but I feel very confident that the play for 2025 for the Rad Dads is to keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
100%.
I applied for Funny Fest.
Yeah.
Which is like the Calgary Comedy Festival.
I also said that, not to, I want to hear this, but that was because I was talking about the sponsorship with Buddy. Actually, it was my father-in-law. He is my buddy. I love him very much. He's my best friend. I was talking to him about are we going to get sponsors? What are we going to do? And I said, yeah, maybe someone locally does want us to shout them out. Maybe someone actually vibes with our content and is like, yeah, give me it. You guys can have some money for a microphone. Here, you can have some t-shirts, whatever. That's plausible. I also know that when we get down here and we sit, and I'm not trying to jump over you and take your spot here, but you're pursuing something. You are doing good work in the world of comedy. You are making through roads. Your foot in the door, and I think this gives us an outlet to kind of work material and generate ideas. And so tell the listeners about Funny Fest and get us going here.
Well, I applied.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm in yet.
You're going to get in.
I think they announce it in like March or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, those type of things where like if we can find these outlets, chili cook-off, those types of things where we are getting outside of the listener base that largely consists of friends, family, and close acquaintances.
There's some others out there. I got a message the other day from a guy up in Fort Sask, a friend for sure, but someone I'd never thought of would be someone interested in our podcast. And he sent me a fuck you because he was watching Elf. And he was like, Elf's an amazing movie. You guys are actually just pieces of shit. And I was like, oh,
we're some Scrooges.
I was like, oh, sure. But I was like, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
We're reaching out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so who knows? Something. I feel like if something external pops off, it will draw people into this. And I feel like we, other than the doom and gloom of this episode, like this is a real downer. Yeah, for sure.
It was funny. I can't wait to roll this one back.
Yeah. But other than I feel like we have like a pretty good product. And if you go back and listen to some of our older stuff, like yes, it has its funny bits, but it's objectively pretty bad. And it's like we've made some like huge steps.
Absolutely. We found the formula, and we've definitely moved away from trying to be something that we're not. We're not here to educate you. We're here to make you laugh, and we're here to do it in a way that's comfortable for us. These are the jokes that I honestly, I say this with a huge degree of certainty and truth. When we are not on the mic, this is exactly how we talk. We could honestly have had this entire conversation and had the mics off. So it's really coming to us naturally. I had actually a pretty big fuck up this episode though.
Yeah.
And it wasn't all the death. We received a Rad Dad gift.
You mentioned this to me, but I don't know what it was.
I know it was addressed to us, the Rad Dad Redemption podcast. And so rather than try and do like a misguided spoiler where I just describe the gift, what I do want to do is give a shout out to my brother-in-law, again, the number one Celtics fan, and also an avid listener of the podcast, and say that your gift is both well received, it is hilarious, and you have my sincerest apologies for not remembering it. I just spent 3 days on the ice. I'm a little rinsed. Just trying to rush to get over here. We'll open up in the 2025 with that Christmas gift because it's fucking hilarious, and it'd actually probably be pretty timely when we get to do that.
Thank you for the gift that I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
I'm feeling very blue-balled right now.
Yeah,
because you hyped it up,
and it deserves the hype.
Text messages.
It deserves the hype.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But you're gonna have to edge a little longer.
I gotta take these blue balls all the way to Hawaii.
Yeah,
these blue balls are going non-continental.
Dude, you're on your way. You're going. What's your prediction for Hawaii?
I'm gonna swim with a turtle.
You're gonna fuck a turtle. like
I just spat all over the table.
like these robots that are gonna be on everyone's street in 2025.
Yeah. No, and I want to see a volcano. I love volcanoes. I don't know what it like. There's something about a volcano that is just so amazing to me.
Plate tectonics, man. Give me every time.
It's cool. Volcanoes are cool, and like the island that we're going to, there's like highways that they've like had to rebuild over top of like giant volcano flows, and it's just like you got these like huge fucking rolling highways that are going up and down over these flows that have hardened into volcanic rock. Yeah, I don't know. Volcanoes are fucking cool. Turtles are sexy.
This is how I know you're a more cultured man than me. You're like, I'm going to Hawaii and I'm really going to explore the geography. Like, I just want someone to fucking put some flowers over my neck and I'm going to get bombed.
Well, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm going to go hiking with a Mai Tai.
New Year's plans?
Nope.
No.
I think we talked about how much we both hate New Year's.
Yeah. I think we're going to our neighbors. And I said to Meg, I was like, hopefully we're out of there by 9.
Happy New Year in 3 hours.
Yeah. But wherever you are and whatever you're doing, whoever you're celebrating New Year's with, we wish you the happiest of New Year's.
Have a great New Year with your fuck robot.
Yeah. Yeah, you will. You fucking will. And hopefully the world takes a U-turn here because then we get to record more episodes and we get to hang with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
The worst thing that could possibly happen is like nuclear war. You know, obviously there would be, unimaginable death and famine and suffering, but the loss of our podcast would be probably the greatest thing to affect.
Could you imagine if all media and everything gets wiped out? This is actually, this is gonna be, how do I articulate this? How do I bring this back? But there's a book by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and it's about the collapse of humanity. And there's like very few humans left, but also like a lot of service robots. And I think it's called, I can't remember the fucking name of the book. But anyway, there's a limited amount of available information on the world that used to be. And so that's what happens. This book plays out, and all the next beings find is just our podcast. And that's what they have to kind of build the picture of human.
Find my old laptop. They're like, oh, okay.
Dexy's movie reviews. I give
Oppenheimer was great.
This is a very sophisticated.
They're like trying to figure out if they should try and like clone early humans and bring them back. They're like, no, there's nothing here.
There's nothing here. Happy New Year, motherfuckers.
Bye.